What is up, down, and sideways, you truly glorious individuals? It's another epi of League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you fine folks for the rare little Wednesday post-playoff look at for the NLC playoffs. That's right, the boys back on the Rift. Somehow we're already in playoffs when Los Ratones was like 4-0 in the group stage, and that's a wrap. You're already heading to playoffs.
They're just like the LEC, just like the rest of the regions around the world where we're getting, only a handful of games. And then it's right into the playoffs in that very first split. Yes, right into the games that will matter, the ultimate series that start to define things a little bit more in the NLC.
And it was, the same storyline that we've seen from this Los Ratones squad, completely dumpstering DMG in that first game, 13 kills to 1, and in game 2, even with a spicy Kane pick for the other squad, we still are following this path of chasing Baus on Scion around the map while your base is in shambles.
I'm starting to wonder if his debuff, his attention buff to the enemy team is the same as Faker's. It's pretty darn close what we're seeing right now. Maybe isn't the same pedigree as taking down someone like the Baus, but that juicy cherry for getting that kill, it's still there. The same way it seems to be for Faker, people highlighting it, wanting to go for it. I think Baus has done a fantastic job knowing that this is the attention that he is generating in the NLC, and people are bringing that up there, and I think the rest of Los Ratones play around that fantastically. They understand that this is a situation that we're going to find ourselves in. How do we maximize? How do we punish this aggression, this overchase, this extension from the enemy team? And we've seen them find that payoff multiple times.
And again, listen, this is the playstyle of Baus. This is why he became so famous as a streamer. But it's so unique to work in pro play when you have a team that's okay with it. They play around this strategy. Oh, Baus is 1-7 again. Okay, but he's up 100. He's up 1K in gold somehow, and they're just letting this guy play as he is, as he's always done, and playing around it, and it's working.
I think it's part of the community having such a narrow mind as far as what is acceptable, what is the builds, how do you play, how do you win the game type of situation, especially once it's elevated to the professional scene, because we all know down in the depths of anybody's solo queue, quick play, whatever it is, you see all sorts of avenues to find a path to victory, and all of them, more viable in each sort of way type of thing against each other. Something what Baus has done with the Scion has been talked about so many times, and so many times it's come up, it's been hit with that hammer of, yeah, this is fine. You can maybe, if you are as talented, as crazy, as wicked in the head as Baus, find a way to make this work in solo queue, but you sure as hell are not going to make it all the way to professional doing stuff like this. We're seeing right here, right now, you are able to do it as an individual, and as you mentioned, if you have a team that is committed and focused around that type of style as well, it only takes it to that next level and what you're able to do out there on the Rift.
And we know Ratones and the boys, they are a content team, and they are farming content here. Ready Sack eSports, also a content team, but it feels more of a meme with this squad. Number one, all the roster shuffle, someone's getting suspended, someone doesn't have internet that's been going on. The content for Los Ratones is just having these personalities because they are full tryharding, trying to win. Not saying Ready Esports isn't, but not nearly at the same level as they get upset by Bulldog Gaming in game 3 of their playoff round. And I can tell you for near certainty, if you have a 1-10 misfortune, you're probably not winning the game.
I'd elevate that from probably to almost certainly not winning the game at that point. That's an incredibly hard champion to pilot at that point, being 1-10, and especially knowing then, okay, well, what environment has a 1-10 misfortune created out onto Summoner's Rift on the other side?
A tilted one is what it is.
You ain't making it through onto the other side of that one. Yes, Ruddy Sack falls. This is an interesting one. I think, yes, there's some angle to talk about where maybe this roster, this, experiment hasn't hit quite as the same highs as we've gotten with Los Ratones. But I think at the end of the day, what we are seeing with this one and kind of, it is one of these things that facilitates the movement that we have seen into this NLC, into the ERL leagues in Europe specifically, of teams like Los Ratones, Ruddy Sack, things of that nature that have come through, brought in some of the old pros as well. Things we need to see is a mega lower bracket run from the boys at Ruddy Sack, with Yankos maybe leading the charge or something like that, because the boys need to make a big turnaround in order for us to have, of course, that Los Ratones Ruddy Sack big showdown for a championship.
Yeah, and this is a mega extended playoff bracket, especially for an ERL Tier 2 league. They're not eliminated, Ruddy. They're down to that lower bracket, as you mentioned. Los Ratones is going to have a week off before they play that upper bracket semifinal. Then there's the upper bracket finals, final, blah, 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 blah. It's actually a pretty long and extended playoff run overall, and the viewership's only going to go up.
The playoff run, it feels like almost like in Batman when Bruce Wayne gets kicked down the pit again and he's got to climb all the way. That's the lower bracket. You got to make yourself all the way back up to that top where all the winning team, the upper bracket squads, have just been hanging out. They're having a pina colada, sipping and looking down and watching everybody down in the pit climb their way out. Viewership will be going up, of course. I think one of the interesting things as well is that viewership isn't quite extended from just Los Ratones to, a squad like the Ruddy Sack, who is, again, in this same type of, old pro content creation vein. It's not fully in that level, but it's obviously still mega levels above where the NLC was before. And I think that's one of the things that I want to keep track of and kind of keep checking in on is now what are some changes? What are some evolutions and growth for that NLC, for the ERL scene, now that you have all these eyeballs tuning in, now that you have advertisers going, you had this many people checking this out? No way. A Kit Kat, let me get you our money. Holy moly. These type of things, and what type of changes can come from that.
And how does it affect other ERLs? Do they try and get teams or entice streamers, washed up players? No one's washed up on Los Ratones. Let me say that. I think maybe Leader and Perks, people would be talking about that, although Perks' top lane has actually worked out better than at least I had expectations for coming into what, again, will be a lower bracket run for the boys from Ruddy. It's time for the return of Who Am I 2025 edition. I'm going to read some stats. Mark's going to guess who he played for. It's probably even more difficult to do these this early in the season when stats are still a little bit skewed, and God knows we had to make this harder on Mark to try and get some.
I've got a horrible record in these Who Am I's anyways.
I should add them up, really.
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't be adding them up type of thing. But I will say, yes, this one is going to be a little bit extra, more difficult, a little bit of extra spice on top of it. Beginning of the year, not many games in some regions, a handful of games over here, all sorts of things. Who knows? Nobody cares. Let's get down to the game.
We start with a very intriguing one, and this is over to the LCK. I am the only player in the entire LCK with 100% first blood rate. And it's not a guy who's just played for one game and one game got it. We're talking minimum 5 games played, 100% first blood rate, the only dude in the league.
Oh, man. Only dude in the league. First blood. Who's picking him up? I'm trying to think back through the games, watching who's got a first blood. Of course, initially, the first guess was going to be right out of the gates. I thought you were setting me up for a nice little tricky smash answer coming on through in the LCK. Of course, he's been good, but not anywhere close to picking up 5 games worth of first bloods coming across in the board. Oh, man, who could it be? I'm going to take a guess here. I'm going to throw it a wild card. I'm gonna go with my boy Showmaker. I think things have been great for Deep plus Kia. He, of course, is always someone that gets a little bit of early action going. I'm gonna guess with him.
You should have trusted your gut, brother. It is T1 Smash. My man has been that good at the first blood all 5 games. That bot lane, him and Kyria popping off in the 2v2. So your gut was there. I'm gonna give you half points for that.
Oh, no, I sold out on it. I knew, I had that feeling that, I'm thinking, okay, well, no one's really jumped away immediately as that guy that's instantly just grabbing first kills in the game type of thing. And I thought, okay, well, I'll go the success route. I'll go to D plus Key. I'll take Showmaker. He's got to be the guy. I knew my boy Smashy was smashing it. Come on.
That's why Guma's not playing. He says, "Did you get first blood in every game, Guma? Huh?"
Guma, when were you last on Who Am I League Unlock? Oh, okay.
That's a big doc for you. Listen, a lot of the top 80 carry numbers are actually between both Smash and Guma. So they've both been killing it in the games that they started for T1. Second guy on here, it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. We're going to the LEC. This dude is the only jungler in the entire league to have 0% first blood rate as opposed to the 100 from Smash. But despite having 0% first blood rate, he's first in XP difference at 15 and first in damage percentage among all junglers, but no first bloods.
What is this combination of stats here? No first bloods.
Chaos.
Yet, eventually, this guy gets it done for his team, and he's getting the damage in. He's getting involved in the fights later on. So it absolutely can't be one of these ones where I was thinking, maybe it's just a squad that's really struggling. They don't get online, anything like that.
The XP numbers makes you think this dude's just farming early on. He's not ganking.
I'm going to throw a wild card out there. I'm going to take my chances on G2 Skuman. I'm going to throw it out there. I think things have been a little all over the place, and these stats that you're throwing at me are all over the place for something like this.
Mark is popping off today. He's in the zone. Gets the smash one half. Gets Skuman almost 2 for 2, my dude.
This is the generational run of Who Am I right now. Never gonna happen again.
It is Skuman though, and yeah, obviously, guy. I know he's played some Zyra games. He's definitely maybe farming a little bit earlier as opposed to getting first blood. I feel like he's getting like second blood in a lot of these. It just really does feel like an anomaly kind of stat.
I like this one because it's not necessarily like, oh man, this guy is trash now that you realize these stats and this is who it is type of thing. There is that caveat of, yes, you're not getting that first blood, and obviously we know how important, how valuable that can be for teams, and we know the struggles, relative struggles early for G2, and some of that type of issue can play into that. But having that interaction, having those numbers in the later parts of the game, that involvement, he's there. He's doing exactly what you would ask to do for this type of one. Good early check with Mr. Skuman.
Can Mark complete the magical 3-4-3 on this one? We're to the LPL. This is not role specific. The entire league. There's only one player who is top 3 in KDA, gold per minute, and damage percentage. Only one guy, top 3 in all of those categories. Who am I?
And there's only one way that this works out, is for a guy to be leading those categories right now and knowing the cadence of the scheduling in the LPL. It has to be someone with one game. It cannot. I'm not accepting that this is someone who's played more than it. It has to be a one gamer.
I'll tell you, it's not a support who's first in damage and gold. I'll tell you that much.
I'm gonna bet the house. I'm betting the house. I'm putting those 2 correct guesses in on this one. I'm combining it all here. I'm betting it all on Super Carry Dwayne B. Betting it all on him.
Pretty good guess to believe in him because he did pop off against IG. But we're actually going to a squad that's played 2 whole series, and that is anyone's legend. This is your boy Hope in the bot lane.
Damn. Okay. I like to see. I'll accept a gracious loser here for that gamble.
2 out of 3, pretty damn good. Let's be honest.
I'll take Hope. That is fantastic. I think that this is one of the great stories in the LPL, is him continuing to develop, continuing to shine and show out, and to be on a squad like anyone's legend, where he is one of the engines, one of the driving pieces that has to find a way to contribute, has to fire up and things for this team, and he has reliably done so. Yes, 2 games so far, but to do it to the extent that he has done so, and where anyone legends hopes they are, this is a very good sign.
And listen, this was a head-to-head against Jackie Love and TES, one of these series that he's putting up these numbers. And I'm not getting carried away, but you could see a similar trajectory for Hope as we saw with Elk. If you remember early on in Elk's career, good young talent, but he was kind of on some middling tiered squads, and you're like, yeah, okay, he's fine. Then he gets to BLG, and all of a sudden, the Ascension, he's all of a sudden the best AD carry in the league. I'm not about to say Hope is the best AD carry in the league, but he's kind of followed a similar career path so far.
I think what's happened with the roster for this Anyone's Legend, and again, his career path to this point in time, this is the catalyst. This year is the catalyst of that explosion on where he can go. How high can you go and what can you contribute in this league? And I think for someone like Hope right now, again, you have the early test head-to-head against Jackie Love. That's one of the top dogs that you're going to have to be able to compete against here in the LPL. And right now, we're getting the double thumbs up for Anyone's Legend.
Well, we got high expectations now going forward for Who Am I? If Mark's pulling out like a 66% correct rate on this, that's new levels for 2025.
Hey, I'm just saying, book it on the calendar. We already got one Who Am I where I've got at least a correct answer. I'm taking it.
Yeah, that's a passing grade for sure. LCK gets going again on Friday, LPL over the weekend, and of course, LTA and LEC. Lots of games to get to over the next couple of days. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute beauty. Thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you on that flippity flip.